Welcome back to the basement. On this episode, we are finally going to start painting this 1973 Fender P bass. But first, I got to figure out how I'm going to hold this thing while I do it. I got to actually build some sort of a rig to hold this bass body while I paint it. Now, previously what I've done is I've just used coat hangers. If you watched my Fender Jazz bass build, I just used a coat hanger through the neck pocket holes and hung it from the garage door tracks in my garage, and that worked fine. Problem is, when you do something like that, you run the risk of anywhere there's an something intersecting with the body, there's going to be a risk of having a run to come off of that. And unfortunately, I got lucky and I didn't have that problem. It was really careful spraying where this thing was hanging from. I've seen other people, other guitar builders actually put an eye hook through the strap button on the heel of the guitar and hang it that way and spray it. That's fine. I considered doing that. However, I saw, I think it was on, I want to say it was Brad Angro's channel and a couple others, where they had this really cool kind of rotisserie type of stand to paint their guitar bodies on. I figured, well, that looks easy enough. Now, their design basically was a wooden post or even a pipe with a T-fitting on the top. And basically that T-fitting, they had a, basically it looked like a coat rod dowel that would fit the same diameter as the T-fitting in the pipe. And on the end of that coat rod dowel, they had a square piece of stock bolted to it that would then screw into the guitar body, which is great for bolt-on guitars. And that's, I think, what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do a variation of that. I'm gonna do it all out of wood. I am gonna make one improvement to that. One of the things I didn't like about that was it was kind of like a free spinning thing. So I want to introduce a clamping mechanism on top of that so that I can hold the guitar body in any position that I want on that pivot point when it's spinning. So let's get after it. I've got some crappy pallet wood right here. Actually, these two pieces are actually kind of nice. It's a shame to waste them on this, but at the end of the day, it's pallet wood pine. Let's get it done. I wanted to do something really, really cool that was on the same caliber as this workbench or my flip top tool stand, with lots of just nice joinery and get some practice in, but I need to get this project done. So I want to get this thing sprayed in this episode, so let me get started on building this rig, and then we'll get started painting it. All right, this is the one I'm gonna have be the post, and of course this is not at all straight cut, so that's what we're gonna start with. Okay, I've got all my wood cut up, and here's the basic design. I'm going to have this center post. It's going to stand straight up. I'm going to have a hole right about here, about 4 inches from the top for the, ow. So I'm going to have a hole about 4 inches from the top for the coat rod dowel, and then I'll have a little clamp mechanism to go on top. I have to go get some hardware to make that happen, so I'll do that tomorrow, but I want to get this base built. So I've got 4 legs, and basically it's going to go a little something. It's going to go a little something like this as far as the base is concerned. If I can get this to do what I want it to do. Let's see which end is a straighter cut. Okay, that end is better. So it's gonna be something like that. And the cool thing is, you know, I can put weight on it if I need to. But that'll be the rig. So let's put it together. All right, quick, fast, in a hurry. So I'm not going to drill a hole until for the coat rod to go through until I know its diameter. So I will come back tomorrow, finish this thing off, and then we'll start spraying this 73 Fender P-Bass. Okay, it's the next night. I've got myself a bolt and 3 nuts that I probably won't need. And here's why. I forgot when I went to the hardware store to get a coat rod. So what I did find in a pinch was this old hoe. As you can see, the blade of the hoe is broken off and I'm left with just this hook, which I did used to use for planting seeds in a row. But I think I'm going to sacrifice this old junk tool to make that piece. Now you can see there's an issue here, but that's okay because I don't need it to be quite that long, and I need to carve a flat spot to bolt to a piece of wood to fit inside the guitar neck pocket anyway, so that will be the spot where I do that. So let's get some measurements and start cutting this thing up. Added a new plane to the collection. This is a Stanley Bailey number 5. It's about 35, 40 years old. I'm enjoying having it. It's overkill for what I'm using it for right now, but there. Now that nastiness is off. Alright, before I start making the clamping device, I want to see how tight of a friction fit I can get. I'm pretty sure I can get a nice friction fit with this, this garden tool handle. So, measuring this out, this is just over an inch. It's about 1.1 inches. So I'm going to So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a 1-inch Forstner bit, go through this. So it'll be too tight technically to fit this in. But that's fine. I'm just gonna go ahead and do that and ream it out with something. I don't know what I'm gonna ream it out with. We'll figure it out. Alright, as you can see, my handle is a little too big for the hole, so we're just going to take down its diameter just a little bit so we can get a nice snug fit without risking splitting the post apart. Okay, now that we got our handle fitted up to the base, now what I need to do is, where I cut this notch, I need to make a pad that fits inside this neck pocket. Screw this to the pad so the pad can be screwed to the neck pocket, and then we got ourselves a handle and a completed painting rig. So let's get after that. All right, I think I've got a winner here and I didn't have to make any cuts. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to drill a couple pilot holes and slap this puppy together. All right, so here's why I'm doing that. So what I don't want is I don't want to have to cut any paint on this joint. So I would cut a relief so that the body and the mounting block have a standoff about 1/8 of an inch. And that's just so I don't have a bond that could destroy the paint when I go to separate and take this piece off. So I want to drill in from the top down, and the reason is because I don't want to have screw heads in the holes. I don't want to have screw heads on these when I go to paint. So I'm going to go from the inside out so that I don't have that issue. Now I can transfer my screws. So I'm just starting this with a brad point drill bit of a smaller diameter. Just transferring the location of where these need to screw in. Okay. All right, that worked. Look at that. All right, let's see if it works. Honestly, I'm super stoked with this. This is way better than I thought it was gonna be. I didn't think it was gonna be this easy to make something this functional. Yeah, it's not pretty. Yeah, it's not elegantly worked out, but it is super functional. And the best part is it cost me exactly $0. The only things that I used that were store-bought were screws, and not that many of them. In fact, I'm even reusing the original neck screws to hold this handle on. But it works really, really well. I don't even have to put in that fancy over-engineered clamp that I was gonna make. This is just a friction fit is holding this super tight. It is not wanting to spin. It is not wanting to tip. Man, I couldn't be happier. So with that said, let me go ahead and finish sanding the edges of this body and get it up to about 320 grit. Then I'll be ready for sanding sealer. I'm gonna mask off I'm gonna take the handle off and mask the neck pocket. I don't think I need to worry about the pickup cavities, at least not for sanding sealer anyway. But I do need to worry about the neck pocket. So let's get after it. It's time to finish getting this body sanded down, and then we can try out the new paint rotisserie. So let's get started. I'm just going to take everything to 220 grit. I don't need to take it anything finer than that before I start spraying sanding sealer, which obviously is the first step. So I've got a new random orbital sander since my last one kind of crapped out. And I've got it loaded up with some 220. I'm going to put a fresh pad on it and we'll get started. Okay, so here's how my paint rotisserie is going to work. Just like that. I'll be able to spray every angle and it'll be nice and perfect. So anyway, I'm not going to spray it tonight. I'm not going to start with the nitro for two reasons. Number one, I've got to go out of town for 2 days for work. And number two, it's raining tonight and I have to spray this in my garage with the door open and I'm afraid the humidity level might screw things up. So I'd rather not chance it. All right, so I'm back. It's been several days. I've been out of town and come back already. I've done a couple of things off camera to get ready to start spraying sanding sealer. So first and foremost, I fixed the joint where this garden tool handle is meeting the body. Wasn't happy with it. It felt like it was stripping out the body. So I did a couple of things. I put some masking tape on the underside of this block that bolts to the body, and I super glued that to the masking tape that's in the neck pocket itself. I put a little bit more super glue inside of the holes just to strengthen the contact with the threads of the screws. Again, when you bolt the neck, the screwing pressure is not into the body, it's into the neck. So that's where the tightness of the threads has to be. So to have these be a little wallowed out is not uncommon and not that big of a deal. I didn't want to drill them out and dowel them and plug them. It wasn't that bad, so I just used a little bit of thick CA glue for this operation. Also, I fitted the pickup a little bit better to the bridge pickup. Fitted that a little bit better, but I have forgotten a small detail, and that is the fact that I need to drill out an access hole to the control cavity from this bridge pickup. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now before I start spraying sanding sealer. So the good news is I have some drill bits specifically for this purpose, and that is these long guys right here. So I'm probably going to use the 1/4 inch bit. I don't need a big giant hole. I just need a big enough hole to route the wire. Again, we're gonna go with a matching headstock to the Sherwood green, so I think this is gonna look really, really good. I've got a nice silver Fender water slide decal. That's period correct in terms of the font and style. Don't know if they had a silver one back in the day like this one, but it's gonna look good. All right, I think it's finally time to start spraying. It's been a long road to get here to this point, but we're finally ready to start spraying. I'm nervous. Let's get after it. All right, so we're in the garage now. I've made one additional modification to the painting stand, and that's I've added this piece of wood on top just so I have something that I can clamp the headstock to, or the neck to, so that I can spray the headstock as well. So I've been shaking this can of Gracie's Vintage Finish Nitrocellulose sanding sealer for about 3 minutes, psyching myself up for the first spray, so let's get after it. That's the first coat. It's probably dry to the touch already at this point, but I'm going to give this at least 30 minutes between coats. I want to get at least 5 to 6 coats of sanding sealer shot on this thing tonight, so I'm going to do 30 minutes between coats. This is going to take me about 3 hours to do 6 coats if I stay with that pace. But the great thing about nitro is that each coat is going to melt into the previous coat. So I want a nice thick coat of sanding sealer on here before I start leveling everything off and getting ready for the following steps, which is going to be an Olympic white base coat, followed by the Sherwood green metallic and a whole ton of clear lacquer. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The Basement. I know this project has taken forever. I definitely should have been done by now, so I appreciate your patience in hanging with me throughout this build. Join us next time as we start stripping the hardware, leveling the body, and getting ready for the Olympic white base coat, and hopefully start shooting some Sherwood green metallic on this body.